Good evening, everyone. Results continue to come in from election 2019, and in the race for mayor of Nashville, you'll have to vote again. No one received more than 50% of the votes, so there will be a runoff. Councilman John Cooper did get the most votes today, followed by Mayor David Briley and Swain. Our crews have been out all night with the top 4 mayoral candidates, and we begin our coverage with News Channel 5's Alexandra Cohen, who is at John Cooper's watch party. Alexandra.
Rory, John Cooper says there's a lot to get done in this city, and he says he'll work hard over the next several weeks to gain votes. Metro Council member John Cooper walked into the room to cheers from the crowd this evening. There was a lot of energy at the Elks Lodge, and it was a packed house. Right off the bat in his speech tonight, he said he wants to make sure firefighters, police officers, and teachers come first. If elected mayor during the September runoff, he says he will focus on infrastructure in local neighborhoods. His goal is to have a transit plan up and running by next year if he's elected the mayor of Nashville.
We've done all the studies, so we just need to look at the studies and get the high return on investment proposals out of that and into a plan, and let's go on. We are the it city. We don't want to become the was city.
According to election records, John Cooper donated over $1.4 million to his own campaign. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Alexandra. As we mentioned, Mayor Briley came in second in the votes and is in the runoff. News Channel 5's Emily Luxon was there when he gave his speech. Emily, what did he have to say tonight?
Well, it wasn't exactly the outcome he was hoping for, but he did say he's happy to be in the runoff and he is ready to get to work. He says this is an opportunity to distinguish his vision for the city from council member John Cooper's. Now, while addressing supporters tonight, he talked about unity and the importance of bringing the city together. He also touted his achievements as mayor and talked about the importance of taking care of more people across the city. Leading up to tonight, he focused on education, public safety, and affordable housing on the campaign trail. And he says he plans to stick to the same plan leading up to the runoff. But he was quick to point out the differences between his plans for the city and John Cooper's.
I am looking forward. I'm identifying a future for the city that takes care of more people with the resources that are generated by the prosperity we're having. And I think Councilman Cooper generally looks backwards and tries to second guess things that have happened in the past, looks to blame people for things that may not be going right. And I just don't think that's good for the city. I think
Mayor Briley says he plans to get to work right away. He has a campaign event scheduled for tomorrow, and he says his plan is to just keep doing what he's been doing, which is go out and talk to people about the city he loves. Now, the major conservative in the race, Swain, was the last to concede tonight. News Channel 5's Jason Lamb is at the Millennium Maxwell House Hotel where she had her watch party tonight, and she also lost to Mayor Briley in last year's special election. Jason?
Yeah, that's right, Emily. And in her concession speech tonight, she said whoever becomes the next mayor of Nashville, that she and her supporters will hold them to account. She congratulated both John Cooper and David Briley, who are heading into a runoff, saying the people have spoken and she will respect that. During an interview on Inside Politics with News Channel 5 political analyst Pat Nolan, Swain had said earlier she may consider voting for John Cooper for mayor. So I asked her about that after her loss tonight. Now she says she's reconsidering, specifically because of how much money Cooper himself has put into his own campaign.
You know, money in politics, it bothers me that someone, you know, who was behind in all the polls can plop in $1.5 million basically and pretty much buy themselves a spot. And that's not what the democratic process is supposed to be about, but that's a flaw in American society and American politics.
And that is a theme that she said partially explained why she lost tonight. She said she and her supporters were not able to raise as much money as she had hoped. In part, she said, because of her conservative background in this citywide election. Where do you think the future is for conservatism in a county-wide race like in Nashville going into the future?
Well, conservatives have a very defeatist attitude from the very beginning. It's like can't, well, can't never could. and that was one of the reasons that I decided to run. And I believe that they set up a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if they believe that a candidate can't win, they work against that candidate.
Swain told me earlier tonight, worst case scenario, in case she did lose, she said she's going on a vacation. Live in Nashville tonight, Jason Lamb, News Channel 5.
All right, Jason, thank you. John Ray Clemens conceded earlier this evening. He ended in 4th place in the race for mayor. Our Eric Hilt is in the newsroom. Tell us about his speech.
Yeah, Roy, most notable about that concession speech is what State Representative John Ray Clemens did not talk about. He said he's friends with both Mayor David Briley and Councilmember John Cooper, but Clemens would not endorse either of those candidates for the runoff election. He did say, however, that he hoped whoever wins that runoff will prioritize education. Increasing school funding was the main focus of the Clemens campaign. The state representative said although that campaign was ultimately unsuccessful, he thinks it created change in Nashville. And after the speech, he told me that now he's turning his attention back to the state legislature and to the upcoming special session.
Up until this moment, I was hoping to be the next mayor of Nashville. And so right now I'll get started, probably knowing me tomorrow morning. I'll get up, dust it off, and get to work on my legislative package for next year.
Now, Clemens ended with 16% of the vote in that mayoral election. That's about 9 percentage points out of the runoff. Reporting in the newsroom, Eric Hilt, News Channel 5.